Hello and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Thank you so much for listening, downloading, sharing the show. I truly appreciate it. I just love how people are continuing to love and enjoy the show. And if you do love and enjoy the show, and if you are able to leave a 5-star review or to just leave some sort of uplifting comment or interesting description of the show from your point of view on whatever podcast platform you listen to the show, I would greatly appreciate it. That would just help bring more people into listening to the show and give me the opportunity to help even more people. So if you were able to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you wanted to come by and just chat with me and connect with me on Instagram, I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or you're welcome to send me an email as well. All of that information is in the description box, along with all the notes for the show. But again, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you downloading and sharing the show. So let's get right into the episode. Thanks so much, guys. Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for coming back and listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. Just so you know, and a reminder that this week we are talking about how to do it. And today, Wednesday, we're going to be talking about how to have self-confidence. But before we jump in to the episode, I want to always remind you the 5-minute reset, which is to take at least 5 minutes to be by yourself. It'll allow you to reset, reboot, restart your day right then and there. It also will allow you to take a break from any issues or burdens that are dragging you down and causing you stress and just issues in general. You can also take the time to come up with a resolution for any problems or issues that you are currently dealing with, whether alone or with someone else. And then I always encourage everyone to come up with a list of at least 4 things that you are grateful for, big, small, or medium size. Maybe you're grateful that you're able to meet a new friend, whether in person or online or at work or whatever it is. That's great. Maybe you are grateful for, getting some new items, new furniture items, new decorating items in your home. That's really exciting and awesome. Maybe you're grateful that you finally hit your goal of drinking a whole gallon of water or whatever your specific amount is in a whole day. You just feel, when you just accomplish even the littlest goals, you just feel so excited and there for it. Yes, that is something to be grateful for. Or maybe you just had a really good session with your therapist and you just feel like you're really actually getting to the root of issues and problems and, having breakthroughs. That is definitely something to be grateful for. You can literally be grateful for anything. The list is never ending, which is fantastic. So you should never run out of things to be grateful for. And last but not least, make sure that you're feeling at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day, because hopefully you will be able to, think more on the positives and really fall in deep with those blessings and gratitudes that are in your life. And I want to remind you that by focusing more on the positive, it will help you get through those negative times in your life. But I do hope that on this Wednesday, you're having a fantastic day. I do say that a lot, but I do genuinely mean it. So today, Wednesday, we are talking about how to have self-confidence. Self-confidence is something I struggle with on the regular because I freak myself out believing more people care about what I'm doing than they actually do. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that falls into this trap of believing that there's a whole mass of people and people that I know and people that I don't know that actually care what I'm doing, every move and step I make, and the decisions that I'm trying to have, whether on my own or with other people. I assume that there is more people that care than actually do. And I feel like that just gets us all caught up in a tizzy in our mind. And it really helps to, and I don't mean help in a good way, it really helps to distract us and give us excuses for why we are not going to follow through with things that we said we're going to do, or to actually make concrete, real decisions about things. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. And honestly, I know I'm not alone in this feeling and reaction, which is why we are going to chat about self-confidence and how to work on being more confident today. So there is no time like the present, as people always say. And, that can be a little scary. That can be a little overwhelming. And you may think I don't think I'm ready. But honestly, if you're not ready today, what makes you think you're going to be ready tomorrow or next week or next month? You might as well just dive in head first. I truly mean this. And just kind of, struggle a little bit in the beginning. If you have to, maybe you won't. You could surprise yourself. And I'm not saying it's surprising if you don't struggle. I'm just saying, sometimes when you dive into something brand new, it can be a little hard in the beginning, but you'll always adapt and you always figure it out and you always pull through, right? And if you are having trouble pulling through, there is no problem in reaching out for help and assistance, guidance. And I hope that I can be a little bit of that for you today and ongoing. And, there's going to be a lot of other resources too. And that can really just, come behind you and help you feel more secure in your decision to be more self-confident and in the decisions that you're making and whatever else that you're doing in your life. But it should start today, even though it's a Wednesday. And I know people like to start things on a Sunday or on a Monday or at the top of the year, or at the top of the month, or at the top of the quarter, whatever it may be, whatever measurement that fits more true to you. But, maybe challenge yourself to start today, Wednesday. And I apologize. I didn't know my computer wasn't on mute. Start today. Why not? Why not? Self-confidence is the trust you have in yourself, in your abilities, capabilities, and beliefs that you are able to get through everyday challenges and struggles. And, I lack self-confidence often because I don't always have the belief that I'm going to be able to get through everyday challenges and struggles. There's things that make me feel almost physically nauseous sometimes that I have to go through, that I have to deal with, or even potentially have to deal with, it definitely causes me to kind of go into a tizzy when it's not necessary. I feel like we just do this to ourselves, and sometimes we get into such I want to call it a rut, but honestly, just a habitual attitude or expectation that we have to always go into a tizzy when we are presented with challenges and struggles and just experiences that are unfamiliar to us, seem a little far-fetched from our abilities, and that are just new in general, right? So I understand why you might lack self-confidence like I do, but I think that we could all kind of figure it out to continuously build up that amount of self-confidence so that we feel stronger and better starting today and a little bit more every other day, or all of the days, not every other day, all the days from now. So yeah. And one of the best things that comes from increased self-confidence is happiness, which I think we could all use a little bit more happiness. And when you feel good about your capabilities and successes, you're more energized and excited and motivated to try new things and go after your goals because you just feel happy and you feel like your genuine, authentic self and you are just ready to go. So why wouldn't you want to invest more time and more thought into being more self-confident if it could, grant you those things of happiness and feeling better about going after new stuff, going after your goals, feeling motivated about new things. Who doesn't want that? And if you don't want that, then it might be because you have other things that you need to evaluate and deal with first, and then move on to that, which is fine. We all do things in the order that is best for us. You don't have to compare yourself to me or to anyone else because it's not necessary. We're all made differently. We're all unique. I know saying everyone's unique and special sounds so cheesy, but it's true, and I feel like a lot of cheesy things that people say, they're just true. They're true and they're cheesy because they're said all the time. And I feel like a lot of us are so snarky and sarcastic, some people are a little jaded. It's just like people don't believe those things. And some people think it's cool not to believe those things. People think it's cool to just be down on yourself all the time. But I'm here to tell you that it's not. Having sarcasm here and there is fine. I love it. I am like the sarcasm queen. However, it shouldn't really, the thing about sarcasm is that it's rooted in so much truth and playful humor. And sometimes the truth can hit so close to home that really you're just making a confession wrapped in a joke about yourself. So you want to be careful. I think that we can still have a little bit more fun. We don't have to take ourselves so seriously, but we should be careful what we're saying about ourselves, whether it's serious or joking. Either way, we should just be careful. You know what I mean? So, but one of the biggest things that could prevent self-confidence is imposter syndrome. And the imposter syndrome is just so tough. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that they are struggling with it. It's the idea of thinking that you're fake and that you're going to be found out, it's like continuing to have the belief that your accomplishments account for nothing, that you'll be labeled as a fraud, and that will for sure keep you from trusting who you are if you don't turn it around in your mind. And I definitely suffered and suffer from imposter syndrome a lot. A lot. Mine is rooted in also fear of success and fear of failure, but more so of success and not having self-confidence really, because if I had more self-confidence, I wouldn't battle so much with imposter syndrome, because I'd actually feel like I can do what I'm doing. I can continue to push through and progress and believe that the things that I'm doing are important, and that I don't need to continually compare myself to other people to feel like I matter, or that I'm important, or that what I'm doing matters in the world, and that I'm just, feeling so incompetent or small. And honestly, those are thoughts and feelings that we put onto ourselves. Some people might put it onto us. A lot of times we have so many outside influences and it gets all jumbled in our head, and then we take in those things and we believe them. But just because, there's something in your head that you believe doesn't make it true, right? You have to know that. Just everything in your mind, just because it's there and just because you've been believing it for however long doesn't make it true, right? Like you could be believing that you are a terrible person. That's absolutely not true. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've done some, regrettable things, but you are trying to make yourself a better person. You are continually working at yourself. You're not giving up. And that makes you a good person. That makes you a person that is willing to get back to the person they might have been before, or just transform yourself into the better person that, you've been waiting to become. And that's why I speak so strongly about saying positive things to yourself, being careful about the negative things that you say to yourself, because you can trash yourself so quickly, right? And I feel like we do it the best to ourselves than anyone could ever mock us or make fun of us or bully us or say rude, mean things, Like they don't know you like you know yourself, and you know everything that you've done that was questionable or wrong or a mistake or whatever. And they, you know your deep, dark secrets. And that's what makes our minds so dangerous at times, because we will put all these negative thoughts into our minds and we'll believe them and think they're truth. And then we will tell other people that's how we feel about ourselves, or that's how we think of ourselves. And, we're seeing ourselves through this like dirty mirror, when really we just need to, put in the time and the effort to clean it up a little bit. And we will see exactly who we are. We'll see that amazing person that's continuing to grow and learn and become stronger every single day if we take the time to just clean it up. And per usual, I have gone off on a tangent, but I feel like it was necessary. I felt like it worked. You let me know. But yeah, so self-confidence. If you have more self-confidence, it'll prevent imposter syndrome. It'll prevent you thinking that you will be labeled or found out as a fraud, as a fake, as someone that actually doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know what they're talking about. But I think also the thing that helps me to counter dealing with imposter syndrome is the fact that I am very open and honest about what I know and what I don't know, and what I study and research and what I don't, and the fact that I am not the one and only resource for you. I appreciate that I am a resource for you. I appreciate that, you enjoy the content and you share it and you use it to, continue to put yourself on that path of your better self, and, just to become stronger people every single day. It makes me want to cry with so much happiness. I can't even tell you. But that is what, but I share those things because I want to be genuine and I want to be authentic with you. And I want you to know that there's so many resources out there, and we could definitely be pulling from so many different places so we can find the right things that we need to be feeding into our minds, that we need to be using as pieces to strengthen us, like mantras and just knowledge about how to become better in this and that and stronger in this and that, and the things that might be creeping up in our minds that we didn't even realize was taking over our mindset and creating this negative feeling in us, or masking itself as something good when it was something that's tearing us apart and we didn't even realize it. And I'm not the only one out there doing that, but I do appreciate you coming and listening and letting me guide you in a specific way. But that is the reason I'm so open and honest about how, I do research it, but a lot of it's based on my own personal experiences and opinions and other people's experiences, because it's all this whole thing is supposed to be all about like real life and how to get through real life tough struggles. And sometimes research is going to help with that, and other times it's not. It's really not. It's kind of like having street smarts and just like real life experience, because how you go to school for years to learn how to do something, but until you are in the thick of it, that's when you actually know what book knowledge you can apply and what real world knowledge you can apply. It has to be a mashup of both. So anyway, another tangent, don't you love it? But yeah, so I would highly encourage you that if you are battling imposter syndrome, to find the thing that'll help you kind of break through that. And that's what helps me break through, really acknowledging the things that I don't know, but really being proud of the things that I do know. And it's a healthy balance. But yeah, so, you don't want to be labeled as a fraud, and you don't want to not trust who you are, and you want to change that mindset, and you need to continually remind yourself of your successes rather than your failures. And I will elaborate more on this in my list of tips, but it can be really helpful to really start that quick boost of self-confidence by reminding yourself of your successes. So let's go ahead and just jump into the tips. I have 5 quick tips for you to help you have more self-confidence. So the first one is to change your beliefs about yourself. And that's what I was basically talking about in the intro part, is that you need to change your mindset. You need to realize that things that you're believing about yourself don't make them true. They just make them things that you believe. And people can believe all kinds of different things. That's what makes us unique and different and, so special. But we need to understand that not everything that we believe is truth. Just like how everyone has an opinion, but it's only an opinion. It's not truth. It's not gospel. It's not something that someone else has to believe, because it's just your opinion. It is based on your own thoughts and formation of the experiences that you've had, but it's not truth. It's just not. A lot of people think their opinions are truth, but it's not. It's an opinion. And it's important to understand that you do need to change your beliefs about yourself. You need to be believing more positive, more uplifting. And I understand if you don't want to tell yourself that everything is gold and roses and fantastic and that you are the best person in the entire world. You can be realistic with yourself. You can be like, hey girl, Sabrina, you're amazing. You're doing good. You're still got to grow in these areas, but we're working towards it. We're not giving up. Or you can be like, hey, you kind of struggled today, but that's okay. because tomorrow's a better day, or even like, the next half of this day can be a better day. We can turn this around. We can figure it out. Or I need to really grow more in that area. I keep slipping back. I keep making mistakes. But we all do that. I'm going to learn a lesson from this. I'm going to push forward. So you see, you can be really realistic about yourself. Be honest with yourself, but also still be uplifting, still be positive, still be motivational. Still push yourself in the right way. Number 2 is to review your previous wins. Like I was saying before, continually remind yourself of your successes. Let yourself know, hey, remember that time that I did this really well? Or remember that time that I kind of I felt like a hero, save the day kind of moment here? Or remember when I accomplished that goal, achieved that goal, I worked together as a team during this thing. Really remind yourself, because that will boost your confidence more and more, because you're like, oh wow, yeah, I've done all these amazing things. You're not brand new in the world trying to figure it out. I know some seasons of life feel like they are brand new. I get that. But you're not brand new. You can still reflect back on things that you have won at, that have gone really well. Even if they don't really apply to the season that you're in, it's still a good reminder that, hey, I did that. I did that thing. I did it well, and it just kind of pumps you up. So you got to remind yourself of your successes. Number 3, stretch your comfort zone. One of the best ways to boost your self-confidence is to try new things, because the wider your scope and experiences are, the more confident in different things you will be, because you'll try things and they won't work out, but you'll try things and they will work out. You'll try things and it kind of works out, but you want to work harder at it. You'll try things and you don't ever want to do that again. But the more things you try gives you a wider ground for you to be like, oh, I'm really confident in a lot of these things, as opposed to keeping it to 3 things and you only feel confident in 1 and only half confident in 2. You know what I mean? And so try more things, push that growth and opportunity for you to become more confident in so many things, and it will boost your self-confidence. Number 4 is to know your values and beliefs. So values are at the core of who you are, and by knowing those values, you can make decisions based on those values that leave little room for doubt, because it's a part of who you are. So if you know your values and your beliefs, and those are the things that you don't sway on, that you feel really good about, then you're going to be more confident making decisions and doing things based on those things. And I feel like if you haven't really identified your personal values and your beliefs, then you are going to feel less confident, because you're not really sure which way your gut is swaying. You're not really sure what's important to you. You're not really sure what is at the core to you that matters the most. But once you know that, once you've identified that, and once you've solidified it as being those things that are just not shifting very much at all, then it'll create more confidence in you to make certain decisions. Now, you might still be a little less confident in other areas, but those things you will know, and it'll just help you to boost that confidence, because you'll know that you have confidence in those things, and hopefully by doing that, it'll give you more confidence to grow more, try more things, expand your experiences and your ability to be confident in more things. Okay, so number 5, and the last tip I have for you to have more self-confidence, is to let go of control. I saved this one for last because I feel like it's the hardest one. I feel like I am not the only person, I know for a fact, out there that has control issues. I definitely do. I've been letting go a little bit more, but then I feel like it's so funny in the moments where you realize that you do have control issues, or someone else points it out, even whether it's in a nice jokey way or it's in a serious way. You're like, ooh, because I feel like people can be in control and they can enjoy it, but I feel like a lot of people can be in control and not enjoy it, and they want to get from up under that habit, that personality, but it takes a lot of work. It really does. But yeah, you will have more self-confidence if you let go of control. So by holding on to control, we can be let down and let our expectations get too high, by being in the control of the situation and what's happening. This is going to cause disappointment and low confidence, because if our expectations are continually dashed back to back to back, and because our expectations are way too high, then we will continually be disappointed and lack confidence that things are going to go well or turn out or however it is. And by letting go, we focus more on gratitude and taking things as they come, being flexible. I talk about flexing all the time, which can build confidence without expectations blinding you and holding you back. Expectations, ones that are just too high, they will blind you. They will think that you need to continually shoot for the stars, for perfection, for everything to be perfect and in control and under your guise. But it doesn't need to be. You can flex, and they'll hold you back because you'll continually hold on to that need of control, that need to have those expectations at that level that you've set them, rather than lowering it a little bit, which might sound like, oh, why are we giving up? Why aren't we trying our hardest? Why aren't we putting in the most work? When sometimes the most work is not necessary. Sometimes you just need to have it at an even, balanced level. And then, you could be surprised, or people could just hit that and it'll be fine. No one's going to die. The world's not going to end. Things will still be good. But yeah, you don't want to continually let yourself down and realize that your expectations won't be hit because you literally set them too high. Even specifically for yourself, I feel like a lot of us set our own personal expectations way too high because we think that we need to be that for someone else. I feel like a lot of times it's influenced by someone else, or we feel like we need to be the shining star to get any attention at all. I understand that. That's something I went through growing up. I felt like I continually need to be, an impressive child, a super smart child, someone that excelled in a lot of things, someone that knew how to speak very clearly and concisely, even as a young child, to be very impressive, kind of like a trophy for my dad. And it was tough, but that's where I learned how to set my expectations way too high. And there are so many instances and experiences that we have gone through that have caused us to set our expectations too high for others and for ourselves. But we need to relax a little more. We need to flex a little more. We need to realize that the world's not going to end if we're not in control of everything, if mistakes happen. Because, you know what I always say, mistakes, failures, you're going to learn something, you're going to grow from it, and you're going to move on. That's simple as that. So, and also, by lowering our expectations, we can just focus more on gratitude and what we're thankful for, and just, enjoying life with a little bit more mystery, a little bit more uncertainty, and knowing that everything's going to be taken care of. And that way we have more confidence because we're seeing things from a wider perspective. We aren't seeing it from just the small, narrow perspective of bad things are going to happen if I don't do this, that, and the other, if I'm not in charge, but more of like, okay, good things are going to happen. Some things might fall apart, but it's going to be okay, and it'll all work out, and it'll still be a good experience. Okay, you guys, well, that's all I have to share with you today on how to have self-confidence. Thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. I appreciate you guys so much. I encourage you to come visit me on Instagram, leave me a DM, chat with me, and just see what else I'm posting up there too. Again, it's at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or you can send me an email with any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topic suggestions, or to say hey, hi, and hello to me. It's down there in the description box with the rest of the notes for the show. And come back tomorrow, Thursday. We will be talking about how to stay mentally strong. But until then, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.